It's becoming tradition that when the heat wave and the forest fire smoke hits, hottest days of the year, I'm going to be doing severe undercar. This time it's been a couple of days of over 100 degrees and heavy smoke. My lungs don't like that at all, so this is taking a really long time, longer than it normally would, but here we are. All the links are new. New CV axle. Isn't that a pretty new CV axle? See if we can get you a better angle. Yeah. New happy CV axle, new link. The whole ass end is new, folks. That link's new too. Got a new wheel bearing in that, a nice Mevotech. I need to mark that one more tight. It's the only one it appears I missed, marking tight. But we got ourselves a good car. So my next step is to put this one on the ground. Tomorrow is not supposed to be nearly as hot. So I'm going to take advantage of that. If it doesn't fight any more than this one did, the car itself, then I can have this out tomorrow. This really shouldn't have been anywhere near as much work as it was. But again, that much heat, this kind of air quality, I'm about doomed out here, folks. But it's late, it's together, that's this side of the ass done. Let's set it on the ground. Another day in paradise, folks. Welcome to Eugene. Hard to believe, but I'm considering this good air quality today. It's still a bunch of smoke in there, but it don't stink near as bad as it did. And we're in the 80s right now, not the hundreds. So time to blast the other side of the ass off of this Highlander. Got one side done in the furious heat. Took several days. This side, provided it doesn't do anything stupid, which it's been a good one. You're going to be a good one for me. You're going to continue to be. I should be able to get all that done in just one day with decent weather conditions. We've got the Camry fender sitting here painted. All kinds of fallout and nasty on that. I'll have to rinse that off. Haven't been able to add any more clear or do anything else with it because this kind of shit coming from the sky, no way I'm touching the paint. Over here, we got a front end kit for the 2002 Park Avenue, the Enterprise. We went with the FCS struts for economic reasons. You know, these have been good to me over and over again on this car. They sure are going to be better than what's wore out, and they literally are less than half the price of the name brand ones. I like the name brands ones. I'd love to put Gabriel on it. They're like 150 bucks a corner. This is like 60 bucks a corner. This is awesome for 60 bucks a corner. To give it a little extra, do we need severe off-roady duded hot, what did I even say? Severe off-road duty rated hot dip galvanized Mevotech TTX? Do we need that caliber of a sway bar link? Certainly not on this car. However, when they're just $4 more than the others, why would I not? Let's give it the beans. And then the sway bar bushings are wallered out like a wizard sleeve on the car currently. So that's going to tighten it up front. We'll decide if we're going to convert the rear away from air or if we're going to just spruce it up. We'll see. But that's the day and part of the next week planned. Too much to do. Let me get on it. Okay, back in business. Today's pace much more like it's supposed to be. Notice I can actually talk to you here. So as you can see, we did these struts and sway bar links and bushings a month ago. This week we did the wheel hub bearing assemblies with nice Mevotech, CV axles, both links that go in ways, and the damn it, they call it something different. They're all control arms, man. All of them's brand new. All of it all the way through. You can see where that got done to the other side as well. Both brand new CV axles. This truck's ready for some fun. So what I have not done yet, I still have front outer tie rod ends. I may wait on that. I'm going to talk to the customer after I test drive this and see how bad the alignment is. Because I say we need to just go ahead and do the front control arms and CV axles and do that at that time and be done with one big alignment. This does have an alignable rear. I marked it exactly where it was. I think you can't see that past it. There it is. I marked it exactly where it was. Of course, that probably does not compensate for the difference in these new parts, but probably pretty damn close. No way the car would have held alignment before. So, all that's together. I need to put that exhaust bushing back up on there. Don't let me forget that shit. Had to move that to get that bolt going. But we're going to put the wheel on, we're going to test drive the car and see what this thing acts like. Happy Saturday, everybody. It's a beautiful one, and we got shit everywhere. What's going on here is the front end, or lower front end, of the Toyota Highlander Hybrid y'all have seen me do a few rounds on. Lower control arms, CV axles, the entire knuckle and hub bearing assemblies. This one will be brand new on the front. But as soon as I get the wheel off, I've come to a little hiccup here. I got questions and I'm about to call the client. So they had a problem on this front wheel at one point before, and it got a repair, and really wasn't able to describe the repair to me in too great a detail as it was with the previous owner. So this motor mount sits on top of the lower control arm bolts. That we need to stabilize this engine and remove that motor mount to get at that control arm from what I see. That's no problem. Let me look underneath it. There's no nut retaining it there. That's just sitting there. So that probably has a hell of a lot to do with noises that may have been experienced in this front end. And then, what the fuck, folks? The other bolt or whatever that is, that's a bolt or a fastener just bent, trapped very sideways in there. I got questions about, well, I got questions about what the hell that is or is supposed to be or what that's supposed to be hanging on to. My hope is that one has a nut on it. That one looks alright. And this one here, it has a nut on it. That seems alright. But this mess, I'm hoping this mess is not a major fucking problem that's going to make it very difficult to remove this. We're going to find out all about it in just a second, but that don't make me happy. Time to call the client. Okay, so we found the missing nut. That is an issue. I can correct that, no problem. The sideways looking bolt, well, that's just me panicking after I saw something else I didn't like. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Let's get up underneath here. Old Willie is relatively splintered these days, so let's get my whole self up underneath this Highlander and have a look at some fucking shenanigans from my predecessors. So, can we get that in frame? Look at that, kids. Y'all see this bolt? I ain't put no wrench on that yet. Maybe that gives a better view of it. Maybe not. Somebody has done something with the CV axle in the past, and when they put it back together, they didn't run the bolt back in the damn carrier. And it appears it's wrapped a nice big groove on the CV axle, which, you know, that might make it easier for me to get it out of here. But somebody's been in here before and been ham-handed. I hope to God that it didn't cross-threaded or fucked up or something. In fact, it looks like it's sitting at a hard angle where it was never in correctly to begin with. So I don't know who the hell. I better watch my language. I'm not sure about whoever worked on this before and how good of a job they did with much. Interesting. Well, let's do it right. Buddy, these here hybrids is something else. So I figured this out as soon as I seen it, but it was like, well, that's interesting. So, look what I'm able to do. Look what ain't there. That's the way it's supposed to be. There are no belt-driven accessories on this engine. It just freewheels that and doesn't have any belt that's supposed to be there. Again, that was easy to figure out that was that way, staring at it. I just thought as a mechanic, that's neat, I guess. Don't flip out. We'll have to remember to sell people belts for their hybrid Highlanders in the future. Making good progress and good time on the Highlander. You know, I was kicking my own ass a little bit until I looked up what book time was supposed to be. And it says this is $1,000 a piece for these control arms to have them installed. I see why. These assholes. You see that motor mount? It's on top of my control arm bolt. There's going to be a control arm bolt right up underneath that. So that has to get out of the way. And it's on integrated studs. So that means a substantial lift of the entire engine. Yeah. We're ready to do that. Supposedly. Or close. We have all the outboard stuff off on both sides. I still need to release the back sway bar bracket so that I can get to the steering bolt. And then from there, we can, once that's loosened, supposedly we can loosen up these motor mounts and lift this engine a little bit. I'm going to try to leave the nuts on the other motor mounts, just at the very bottom, so I'm not trying to reline these things up. I'm hoping I don't have to pull all of them all the way out of the brackets all at once, one corner at a time, hopefully. There's no hoist points on top of this engine, so I don't see how I get to use my crane. In any event, looks like I'm in it to win it. Wish me luck. Several days of learning the hard way later, I have successfully extracted a control arm from a Toyota Highlander hybrid. So this whole ordeal is about motor mount situation. Motor mount sits here. Lower control arm bolt sits here underneath motor mount. So it's not a simple matter of flying it on one corner at a time. No, we know how to do that. That's nothing unusual. Every bolt on every motor mount on this car is loose written off right now to do this. So you just got to pick it up one at a time. And I mean, that had enough clearance by like a bolt thread to get that out, to get there. So, ordeal underway. The plan is validated. I'm waiting on an axle seal on this side, of course. I didn't get the front axle seals like I was supposed to. I guess I got caught up in something, who knows. But we're putting a new one back in that bastard before this goes back together, no question about it. I will have to find the transmission fluid fill port on this, where they hid that. But for right this minute, I'm going to clean up this surface. I'm going to get a control arm jammed in that's ass. And I'm going to get that motor mount back on and get it unnestled off of this jack stand and get onto the other side of the procedure. Well, that was a fun, exciting adventure. Look at that, folks. New control arms in. So, we got the motor mounts out and back in where they're sitting, and the control arms are properly installed. Got both sides like that. Both sides like that. Now all the motor mounts are just sitting on their bolts. Ain't nothing tightened in at all on the motor mount side, but Newton says it isn't going anywhere. And he's right about that, because it sure wasn't easy to get any of it to move. But there's new control arms in. It's going to be a new knuckle going on that, new CV axle assembly going on that. So essentially everything serviceable on this will be brand new. Looking at our old control arms, yeah, them's way past due on that rubber. I mean, just the normal stuff that happens to your Toyota control arms. They sure did mount that in there like hell. Well, I got a little bit of a headache. That's been enough for the day. I think I'm going to ramp it up for the afternoon. Looky there, folks. After an ordeal, we got an aftermarket seal that actually goes in and presses in and fits in good. It had a little extra rubber on the end of it. I think that's an improvement in design over the garbage that Toyota sold me. Yeah, this is the old one that come out of the car, of course. So what I just put in is longer on this inside, not with steel, mind you, just with rubber. Sticks out to about there. The new one that Toyota sold me looked just like this, but it was all brittle. And then as soon as you went to pushing it with your finger, it went to lipping and a cracking. Yeah, no good. So that's in. Now I can install a CV axle and a knuckle, then a tie rod in, and bolt these motor mounts back together. And, well, we're back on stuff I normally do and have fun with under here. So, should have this damn thing done tonight. There's a big asterisk after should, because I've said that a couple of times already. You know, I know better. The client knows better, too. I'm pretty sure they're finding it entertaining at this point. How stupid-ass Maya is at quoting not the price, but how long does it actually take to get it done. Oh, beautiful new steel underneath this thing. Let's see if I can get my ass up off the ground here. If things don't go your way, just apply brute force and stubbornness, and eventually they might. There's one corner of this thing looking like I had planned it, you know, in my head when it took 30 minutes to take apart each piece of this and put it together. Well, this is what I was expecting things to look like when I was done. New strut, new knuckle, new lower control arm, new CV axle, new tie rod end. It will have a new sway bar bushing. I might get all the wheels on the ground and do that from the ground with it at ride height. I don't know, we'll see. Kind of a bastard reach that back one. We'll see how froggy I feel. New axle seal. But yeah, this is what we are after here, and this is what we do with your old Toyota at Jenkins Performance, beyond just basic repairs. If you have time, and time is something it'll take, then we can put an entire front end underneath your vehicle. You know, select your quality, your fast, good, and cheap triangle. I'm over on the good and cheap side. Fast, not so much. But looking like 2,600 here. Let's continue assembly. Put the old brakes on the new hub. Okay, folks. Put the old brakes back on it, and now I'm very happy to say that we have a front end completely installed on the driver's side. Have to do the same thing to the passenger side. However, you know, let's repeat, not that big of a deal. The main ordeal has been finding axle seals, this and that, getting certain things to happen. But we have a very pretty CV axle in here. Everything looks nice. I'm going to mark this up the rest of the way and move on to the other side. Well, this has been an absolutely ridiculous job right here. Definitely not my first time doing control arms and hard ones, but this one takes the cake for worst control arms I've ever had to deal with as far as how the hell do we get there, how much has to come out of the way. Almost got the whole thing done. It will be ready to give back to the customer tomorrow. I'm not excited about how this bearing carrier is shaped. There's a ridge that's supposed to hold the circlip. That has been damaged previously. Got some pictures from it damaged previously, thankfully. One of the bolts that holds the bearing into that cradle came in not there at all. In theory, your knuckle and your strut determine where your CV axle sits and retain it. The clip is working. I've got it in there hard enough where it will work, but we need to replace that shit. Corrosion shows there hasn't been a bolt in there in a long time. It needs a bolt, unless somebody can tell me different that they just didn't use one on this particular application. All that being said, wow, kids, that's no fun. If you're getting ready to do control arms on the Toyota Highlander Hybrid, all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, or what have you, just pack your patience. That's all you need to know. It's not impossible, but there is way too much shit in your way. Don't underestimate it. Well, it's been an exciting adventure, but it's definitely time for a progress report. Look at that. New knuckle and hub bearing, new outer tie rod end, new CV axle. I got to mark that and tighten that up. I almost have this car back together, folks. Need to get the rest of this together, figure out where the transmission fill port is on it, and get on with the day. We are going to replace that bearing carrier. I don't like that for shit. I got that plugged in as well as I can. And I don't see where it wants to go anywhere, but not happy set up with that. Good news is it's easy to deal with, and this CV axle will not be stuck. It'll be very easy to pull it right back out to put one in. So let me go ahead and get the old brake set back on the new knuckle. Get this one test drove, see what we have. I'm ready. Look at that, folks. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Toyota Highlander Hybrid rebuilt suspension. I mean, it don't even know what the hell happened to it. I just took it for a quick test drive around the neighborhood, and even though I know it's out of alignment, it don't feel so bad. I still have some plastics to put back now that I know that everything's okay. Took it for a test drive. This is a dead silent experience. We get no noise from any of our wheel bearings or CV axles or suspension components. No bangs, no clunks, no funks. We do have noise from the interior steering column. Electric power steering maybe. Also, it's hybrid, so you hear a lot of shit in the car. And all you hear now is the rattle clatter of some interior plastics and stuff. No leakage to note. My clip seems to have stayed in there. We're going to do some more high-speed test driving later, but right now, I'm parking it to the side. God almighty. Folks, if you're thinking about doing a Highlander hybrid control arms, look at the picture on Rock Auto. Looks just like a Camry. Yeah, it is, except the entire damn Oreo cookie is on top of it. So pack your patience. Do not get into one of these in a hurry. This was a great customer, and I've done the entire rest of the vehicle, so we're not going to go crazy on the billing portion on this one. But if I had to do it again, I'm going to put a $700 or $800 number on that right away, first time, without batting an eye. I'm sure it is far over that somewhere else. This took me days and days. I'm happy with the money I got, and I'm happy with the result. Let's clean up the carnage.